Right, Safiso, how are you doing tonight?
I'm fine, thanks. And how are you, Simon? Good evening to the viewers.
Tricky final to call this one. Senegal, they flew into the final. Egypt, not so much. They kind of hedged their bets, shall we say. So who's going to take it?
Yeah, Simon, I must say the two teams that are in the final, they are amongst, the sides that were tipped to win the tournament. But to be honest, they did not have, a good run leading up to the final. You look at Senegal. Senegal, they finished top of their group, having scored only a single goal. That is the 1-0 win against Zimbabwe in their opening match. From there, they played 2 goalless draws. Despite all the problems that they encountered, they still managed to finish top of the group. But I think as the tournament progressed, Senegal started gaining momentum. You look at the last 16 match that they played against Cape Verde. They scored 2 goals, winning 2-0 there. Then in the quarterfinals, they scored 3 goals, beating Equatorial Guinea. Then in the semis, they also scored 3 goals, winning 3-1 against Burkina Faso, which means in 6 matches that Senegal have played so far in the tournament, they've scored 9 goals and they've conceded 2. Their talisman, Sadio Mane, has got 3 goals in the tournament and created 2. He's expected to play a very crucial role in the final against Egypt tonight. Then on the other hand, if you look at Egypt, they also did not have a good run. Their opening match of the tournament, they lost 1-0 against Nigeria. From there, they were under pressure. They were supposed to win their next 2 matches. And they managed to beat Guinea-Bissau 1-0, and they beat Sudan 1-0. Which made them to qualify for the last 16. Then you look at the last 16, they played a formidable Ivory Coast side. They failed to score in that match. After 120 minutes, the game had to be decided on penalties. They beat Ivory Coast 5-4 on penalties. Then you go to the quarterfinal match, they played against their neighbors, Morocco. They managed to win 2-1. Then you go to the semi-final match against the host Cameroon. The match ended goalless after 120 minutes, and they ended up winning 3-1 in penalties. So all in all, in the tournament, Egypt, they've scored 4 goals. They've conceded 2 goals, and with their top marksman and captain, Mohamed Salah, scoring couple of goals there. So it's going to be very, very tight. But I must say that, Senegal, they must do themselves a big favor and not allow this match to go to penalties, because I've seen in penalties, Egypt look very unstoppable. So I think this is going to be a very closely contested affair.
Right, so Senegal's got the momentum, Egypt has got the staying power, they could go through the 90, through the extra time, survive penalties, they've shown us that. However, what about the burden that they have? They've got 7 stars on their chest, they're looking for an 8th. They come from a country that's very volatile when it comes to football, very critical of the national team. Are they under any pressure? Do you sense that Egypt must achieve at all costs? And on the other hand, Senegal, this is their 3rd final they're coming to. They've never won before, so they're also, in a sense, under a lot of pressure.
Yeah, I must say, Egypt, they've got what it takes to win their record 8th title, but it's not going to be easy. You look at Senegal, they finished as runners-up twice. They are looking for their first AFCON title. We saw in 2019 in Egypt, finishing as runners-up behind the ultimate winners, Algeria. So Egypt, they've got the experience, but I'm not sure the unavailability of coach Carlos Queiroz as well as assistant Roger Dissart will have a negative impact. But at the same time, let's not forget that even though Egypt, they have won 7 titles so far, the last title that they won was in 2010. So they haven't tasted victory in a very long time. So I think they are facing a task against a formidable Senegal side.
Sifiso Romaro, we're going to get back to you because we're going to bring in your colleague Thabiso Setole, who is in Yaounde. He's in Cameroon. He's there by the stadium for the final. Thabiso, tell us what's going on there. Has this tournament been a success in the eyes of people in Cameroon? What is the final like? What is the feel like for the final?
Yeah. Good evening, Simon. Good evening to our viewers on SABC News Channel. And indeed, it has been one of success, although the CAF President, Patrice Motsepe, and the FIFA President, in fact, Gianni Infantino, say, look, there are a couple of things we have to do. You saw that interview we brought to you yesterday, speaking about the biggest tragedy being the one that happened at this very stadium behind me, where 8 people perished a couple of weeks ago. But they've since gathered steam, that is, of course, the country. They've put on their best foot forward, if I can put it that way, and they've brought, well, happiness and enjoyment in as far as the Africa Cup of Nations is concerned. In fact, I was listening to Sifiso there, Simon, who was speaking about Egypt and the toil that they had. Remember, Egypt lost Roger Dessau, the assistant coach, after the Morocco match. In fact, a short while ago, just behind camera, was, well, Carlos Queiroz. Remember, he got a red card in the other match as well. So they go into this match with possibly the biggest headache on how they're going to feel it, or maybe that could drive them. But tell you what, I'm not the man to answer such questions. Velile Mnyandu, SABC Sports reporter, joins us. Veza, just come this way a bit. As you can see, in fact, the opening ceremony was started a couple of hours ago. So as you can see, this is just some of the officers that were showing off their prowess on the field. Veza, Sifiso's in studio. We're discussing how possibly this match could go. It's going to be a tough one, won't it?
Final, because the teams still have 2 more cup finals to play in March, which will determine which of the 2 teams will be part of the 5 African representatives at the Qatar World Cup. But this is Makoya. This is what it is all about today here at Olembe Stadium. AFCON 33rd edition of the AFCON taking place here today. And let me say that this is a clash between 2 teams that didn't really start well in the competition. You'll recall the opening game of Egypt. They lost to Nigeria by 1-0, and they were stuttering towards the end of those group stages. Senegal, not really a Senegal that we know. We finished the group stages with only 1 goal, but after that, it's been an avalanche of goals. 8 goals just in the last 3 matches. So now this is a team that has found its rhythm. The momentum is there, and you can see the way Ali Osise is using Ismail Sarr, Choko Kouyaté starting from the bench, but now he's starting the games. So I think for me it's an exciting final that we're going to see.
But the other question that the discussions we were having, Simon, were around the impacts that both players, of course, being Sadio Mane as well as Mo Salah, have had on the competition. We know that they have not had, well, been the big stars that we thought they would be playing in Europe, because it's been a tough competition, let's be fair. They've had low scoring chances, but it's what they've done on the sidelines. They've been able to push their respective countries. We apologize to our viewers, there's just helicopters up above, if maybe you hear the noise, but they've been able, Velile, to push their teams to where they are today. A lot of assists, although they have not scored many goals, but they've done their bit in as far as the competition is concerned.
Well, I think we've seen what? 3 goals so far from Salah. Sadio Mane, 3 goals, 2 assists. I mean, that's the impact right there. It's a pity that there's been a runaway top goal scorer, Vincent Abubakar, the captain of the local team, Cameroon. But just the impact of these 2, and I'm not surprised that earlier this afternoon we saw Liverpool sending out that, that nice message to both their boys. In fact, yesterday, Salah, during a match day -1 press conference, going as far as saying he's won the UEFA Champions League, the EPL league title, he's done it all at club level in Switzerland, but this is the one that is missing. And remember, Egypt is going for a record 8th title, but also on the other side, Sadio, he wants to win Senegal that elusive maiden AFCON title.
Okay, we're going to wrap up. We have to hand matches back to studio. I understand our picture is starting to break a little bit, and understandably so. Just again, to apologize to our viewers, there are technical issues sometimes. The president has just driven in, so sometimes the internet does go. We saw the two buses, the two teams have also just arrived. A synopsis from yourself. You've been here throughout the tournament. A quick one for our viewers. Has Cameroon covered themselves in glory? How good a tournament have they put through? You've covered a few of these as well.
Yeah, look, I've been very impressed. I don't know, like, just on the day of arrival, how they were controlling the whole thing, especially if you're an accredited person coming into the country. And also there are other things maybe that I feel maybe they could have done better and there. I know Tabiso, because 8 people died and close to 40 were injured. So it cannot be an all-blanket approach to say it's been a very successful tournament when people have died. But I think this being Dr. Petrus Motsepe's first AFCON tournament, he can look back and say he's proud that he also brought it back more than 163 countries from around the world watching this tournament, something that has not been happening before due to the blackout of African football on TV. So I think overall they can look back and as a benchmark and even do better at the next AFCON tournament in Cote d'Ivoire next year.
Willem Yaounde, SABC News reporter, thank you for joining us, as well as the march, the band march is on. With that, I'll wrap matters from here from Cameroon. And as Velila said, we've been impressed certainly at the organization, certainly at the football, and hopefully Cote d'Ivoire will take the baton and host a successful tournament. As for who's going to be the victor tonight, hey guys, it's anyone's game. I do not want to put money on anyone, but it's been a great tournament so far. With that, Simon, I'll hand matters back to you in studio as we watch the band march on.
You're not going anywhere, Tabiso. Tabiso, stay with us. We have a perfect picture. It's crystal clear. I know you said that you've lost transmission. Just tell us, give us a sense of what it's like to attend a match in Cameroon at this Olembe Stadium.
Can you repeat that, Simon? I heard you mention the Olembe Stadium.
Yeah, no, just give us a feel for what it is like to attend a match here in Cameroon. CAF President Patrice Motsepe was saying perhaps not the best user experience. You can't get the refreshments. The pitch isn't in the greatest of condition. What is your impression of how Cameroon hosts football matches?
Oh, I hear now, Simon. Well, indeed, as the band comes through, I must tell you, I think it's something that we'll get used to, Simon, when we get there, in terms of infrastructure, in terms of what's available, what one can get. As for you and I, being able to get a drive-through and get a chicken nugget or a McDonald's is something we're used to. So it was a bit of a adjustment for us when we got here, that the basic amenities that we'd call them when we want them at any given time we can easily get. Yes, it is indeed tough to get water. I mean, to drink at a stadium, for example, water is rationed out, and the only fear that I can, and I'm not by any means putting Cameroon down, things like COVID-19. When we were having discussions sometimes with colleagues, both the stadium and other colleagues on the industry, we'd ask for sanitizer, and we'd come across as being pompous South Africans who want an expensive no need, which is sanitizer. And we know how COVID-19 has ravaged South Africa. And when you say to somebody, look, I've lost family members, that's why I insist on wearing a mask, and they tell you, in fact, I had somebody ask me, have you ever met COVID-19? And I asked him why. He says, because you're always wearing a mask. And it's things like that I think hopefully we'll get there gradually as a continent. But the fear in that is when you think of what the Africa CDC has said, how difficult is it to be able to get the continent at large vaccinated, and when you come to a country where they don't believe in such things as even wearing a mask, it becomes a bit tough one. But and as far as the CAF president said, Patrice Motsepe himself, I was saying again yesterday, he said, look, he's very impressed with the pitch conditions. Going ahead, in fact, he said, when you go to Cote d'Ivoire, Simon, in fact, I'm going to bring Velile Yaounde, who's still here with us. Patrice Motsepe actually said, when we go to Cote d'Ivoire, we're going to make sure that they sign on the dotted line, on the contract, Velile, on the basics that he wants. Whether they like it or not, they will deliver on 1, 2, 3 that he wants. And it's possibly encouraging to hear the president speak like that, Velile, saying he's not going to let things like a pitch get in the way of a huge and proper competition, because all eyes are on him and his administration.
You will recall that back in 2019, this is the venue here at Olembe Stadium that was supposed, in fact, Cameroon was supposed to host 2019 AFCON. It had to be taken away from Cameroon just 2 months before the tournament took place, and South Africa was standing a chance of hosting again together with Morocco, but they ended up settling for Egypt. And after that, they had to come back here, but still here, just last month, in fact, 2 months ago in December, there was still uncertainty, especially regarding this venue, Olembe Stadium. You can see around that it's not 100% finished, so they don't want to go back to those things. Unfortunately, already when he came in, the contracts had been signed and everything. So in terms of what has been promising right from the manifesto of delivering tournaments of world-class standards, you see it now even with the hosting of the World Cup qualifiers, even now with the Champions League, the group stages that are kicking off in the next week or two, they will be following what they call the African Super League standards. That's why we've seen countries like Malawi, countries like Namibia, countries like Mozambique playing in Johannesburg at Orlando Stadium. Some countries going as far as playing in Morocco, because CAF now is not compromising on the world-class standards.
Yeah. In fact, we heard the president say yesterday, every decision that's got to do with African football will be made.
Okay, well, we got him for as long as we could. The window was there. It was perfect reception. It failed now. So that's Thabiso Sithole. He was in conversation with Velile Yaounde from SABC Sports, but I'm going to bring the conversation back to Sifiso Ramara. He's here in Johannesburg. Sifiso, let's talk about the South African connection in this final. We have the referee, Victor Gomez. We have Roger Dessar, who is there in spirit with the Egyptian team. I don't think he's allowed to attend the match, nor is Carlos Queiroz, who is an honorary South African, but Egypt definitely has a South African connection. It's good that we have a presence, isn't it?
Yeah, Simon, I complained bitterly when the tournament started that, this team of Bafana not qualifying for major tournaments. It's a problem. It's a serious pain. But like you said, Carlos Queiroz, former Bafana coach, I won't forget his stint with Bafana. Carlos Queiroz, during his stint, he made Bafana qualify for both the Africa Cup of Nations and the 2002 World Cup in Korea and Japan. So the head coach of Egypt, he also has strong links with South Africa. You go to his assistant coach. Unfortunately, Roger Dessar got his marching orders in the previous match. But in the final tonight, the highly rated Victor Gomez will be in charge of the match, and he will be equally assisted by our top assistant referee, Victor Siwela. So I think it's a very good thing. Like you said, we've got a very good presence in the final.
And as the sounds of Jerusalem reverberate around the stadium, giving another South African presence, let's talk about the fact that it's a neutral venue for Senegal and for Egypt. How does that count for both those sides in this highly charged final?
Yeah, I think playing at home, it's always an issue, Simon. You look at how Cameroon performed, throughout this tournament, unfortunately losing in the semis in a penalty shootout. home advantage it always counts. So I think for the fact that the two countries will be playing in a neutral venue, I mean, it has pitted, some of the best players in Africa and across different leagues in the world. So I'm expecting a quality match between the two sides tonight.
The importance of Mo Salah against Sadio Mane, I mean, it's been hyped up, but these are two incredible players, the best on the continent, playing for one of the best sides in the world. That exposure. When do we get a South African playing at that level again? Because we did have a Benny McCarthy, we did have a Lucas Radebe. We need that again, don't we?
Yeah, unfortunately, Simon, I think that is the reason South Africa or Bafana, we're playing second fiddle to the so-called top countries. I mean, the likes of Senegal, Egypt, Nigeria, Cote d'Ivoire. Those highly ranked teams on the African continent, they've got players who play regularly for top teams across the world. It's a fact. Bafana, we had what Pesitau, who left the EPL, for some reasons. We all know he did not get regular game time, and he was forced to go. He's in Egypt now, back on the continent. We really struggling, Simon, I must say, to have a top player. And up until we have a top player playing regular, or top players playing regularly in top leagues across the world, Bafana, we still have going to play second fiddle when we compare to the so-called top sides on the continent.
I suppose this question relates to the previous one, perchance, about the Super League, the Africa Super League. Now, Patrice Motsepe called a meeting yesterday to talk about the Africa Super League. It seems to be a very receptive idea here in Africa, roundly not accepted in Europe. They kicked that idea out. They sent FIFA packing. Why is Africa so receptive to a Super League?
Yeah, I think if you compare the Super League that they were planning in Europe and this one in Africa, the one in Europe, they were not including FIFA, they were not including UEFA. It was just the top teams forming the league on their own. So it means all the money were going to go to the bigger boys in world football. I mean, the richer clubs were going to get richer. And I suspect, ordinary or small teams were not going to benefit a lot from that setup. But with the Super League here in Africa, CAF, as the continental controlling body of football in Africa, is involved. FIFA as well will also be involved. But I'm not sure if this will succeed. If you compare Africa in terms of size and Europe, Africa is a very big continent. Traveling, we all know, is an issue. Like our colleague Tabi, for him to get to Cameroon, he had to go via Ethiopia. It's not easy. So this Super League, I'm not sure if it will work, because traveling, it's a nightmare in Africa when it comes to football.
And just finally, I'm just going to put this out there. So Chiefs, Sundowns, they were consulted. That's what I believe. Why not Pirates? Where were Pirates in the whole equation? Have they been left out, perchance?
Yeah, from what I've read, they were talking about, the big clubs on the continent, the likes of Al Ahly. Sundowns, we all know, they've made their presence felt in African football based on, their good performances. What I read was that Chiefs and Pirates, because of, not that great record in African football, it's not automatic that they will form part of this Super League, but maybe there will be playoffs of some sort for the two clubs. So let's just wait and see what's going to happen as the time draws closer.
Safisa Ramara from Johannesburg, thanks very much for being with us, for giving us your insights into the Africa Cup of Nations. Thank you. Good night, sir. Yeah, so what Safisa Ramara is pitching is a Soweto derby to gain entry into the Super League in Africa. It's an ambitious plan, isn't it?